Computers, we have problems. We've reached the limit of silicon technology. Remember we were talking about this before. That right now, our computer chips are based on silicon. And the way that it works is they have a silicon wafer, and they have a template that they put over it that has all the transistors and the wires and the circuit board and all that for this wafer. And then they shine ultraviolet radiation on it, ultraviolet light, and that burns through the template. It's kind of like spray painting through a template, and then you pull it away, you've got a pattern. That's what they actually do with ultraviolet light. This is real. This is current day. And computers are getting faster and faster. Every 18 months, they basically double in speed because they're able to make these smaller and smaller. But you can only go so small. Once you get small enough, you start to get to the atomic level, and then you get to what's called the quantum factors, where electrons are hard to track. They might actually jump from wire to wire unexpectedly, causing short circuits and everything. So you can only get so small. And scientists actually predict that by about 2020 or 2025, I think are the numbers, so very soon, we're actually going to hit a peak for how fast computers can go using silicon technology. This is real. This is their real predictions. And think about when that happens. Think about when you replace your electronics. Why do you replace your electronics?
Well, to keep up with the rest of the world.
Because there's faster ones, right?
Yeah.
Not because they broke.
No.
How often do you replace stuff because they broke?
Very rare.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, the whole computer industry, which bases its whole growth around people discarding their electronics. In fact, it's a waste issue.
Yeah.
It's a waste issue that they have recycling plants and stuff for electronics, because otherwise we'd fill up our landfills with computers that still work fine, but they're just slower.
People make money because they take like the platinum and the nickel.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're doubling in speed every 18 months, then your computer within 3 years is 4 times slower than what's on the market. And if you're a computer gamer, then obviously that's going to stop you from playing the current computer games. But a lot of industries, like you even think about us making videos, we got to the point where we just could not really our computers couldn't keep up with us, and we had to buy new ones.
Yeah, it takes 4 hours to render, and it takes like a half hour to render now.
But the computers are fine. In fact, we still use them for other tasks. Imagine if those computers were as fast as we have them today, and they weren't going to change in speed for the next forever. When would we replace the computer? When it breaks.
Yeah.
How long does that take? So all of a sudden, how many computers are being constructed would just plummet. And the economy in terms of computer technology would plummet as well. That would actually cause a lot of problems in terms of economics. A lot of people would lose their jobs. And so right now they're struggling. It's kind of like the Y2K problem. They think, the year 2000 is going to be the end of the world, so all of a sudden everybody starts looking at it. Well, they're looking at that right now. What kind of computer system, like a quantum computer, they have all sorts of different things, could then kind of take us past that point. But I'm going to say, for the sake of this game, that they don't find that. They still don't have that in the mid-21st century. And the reason I do that is because I want there to be that tension in the economy, because it creates pretty cool plot devices.
Yeah, the tension is good.
Tension's always good for a plot. So the limit of silicon technology was reached long ago. The major economic effects as computer technology growth comes to a halt, and there's major research being put into alternatives. The other reason that governments are going to be funding this like crazy is because a quantum computer, which is the theorized kind of computer that would be coming out next, would be so much faster in calculations that it would take every encryption that we have today and could solve it incredibly fast. Like, for example, when you're using the internet and you're sending your credit card over the internet, you usually are on a secure website. And that's usually 128-bit or 256-bit. I'm not sure what the current standard is. And that bit, what it is that's how many zeros and ones. And there's a random number that big, that many zeros and ones, 128 or 256, that has to do with your communication. So in order for somebody to intercept your communication and be able to decrypt it and know what your credit card is, they have 2 to the 128 different numbers that they have to go through to find your credit card. 2 to the 128 is an incredibly huge number. Like, if 2 to the 1 is 2, 2 to the 2 is 4, 2 to the 3 is 8, 2 to the 4 is 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1,024. We're just at 10. And it goes all the way up to 128. And so it's just this astronomically large number. A quantum computer could crack that in a few seconds. And so the military encryption is going to be bigger. Quantum computers could still crack that in a few more seconds after that. So the first government...
Oh, hold on, is this like real day theory?
Yes. How fast a quantum computer actually would be able to go. So, well, at least for calculations.
Right.
So with the even military grade encryption would be cracked within seconds, within a minute.
Well, then every country is going to want a quantum computer.
Exactly. The first country to have a quantum computer will all of a sudden have access to everything in every other country.
Yeah, they will rule the world, right?
Might not go that far.
Well, it'd be dangerous.
It would be. It's like the first, well, you think about it, what happened to the first country that got the nuclear technology?
Well, they were considered a threat.
And then they dropped a bomb on Japan and ended World War II. It's a big deal to be the first to that technology, but it's not a game ender, right? Everybody else then after that got nuclear technology as well. But it was a major shift in world events. It stopped World War II. At least one of the things that stopped World War II. So it's a big deal to be the first one to get a new technology. And that was the States, of course, that dropped that nuclear bomb, which was actually a small nuclear bomb compared to what we have today. But that's a side note. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal for countries to be funding research. Yet by the mid-21st century, so by 2075 at the latest, they still have not cracked that. And so there's a major recession in the computer industry. And computers are only replaced as their parts wear out. So that doesn't happen nearly as often. I've got a crappy cell phone that I've had for 5 years, and the back of it just broke. And I can still use it. So I'm not going to replace it until I absolutely have to.
Why, right?
That's 5 years for a $20 cell phone.
Worth.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's computer technology. Artificial intelligence and robotics. Oh, see, I told you these would be long. It's already 20 minutes. How's your tank coming?
It's good. Progress.
Yeah. What are you painting, by the way? Bale predators?
Yeah, I'm painting the fuel tanks for this flamestorm cannon. I'm painting the front of it and the heavy flamers on the sides. And it's like locked in place. It's glued, but I never field the flamestorm cannons and the heavy flamers. It's always the heavy bolters and the DACA assault cannon.
Is it auto cannons?
But it looks better. I like the look of the flamestorm cannon more than I like the auto cannon. It's like dinky little.
It's a little straight line.
Yeah, it's not as impressive looking. So
Cool.
that's what I'm doing.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
actually managing to hear everything you're saying too.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Painting's usually pretty mindless.
I do have a question though before we continue.
What's that?
What is a quantum computer? Like I understand now computers like silicone, right? Those
Yeah.
are computers nowadays. What is a quantum? Why is it called that? What is it made out of?
A quantum computer, quantum physics deals at the quantum level, which is basically down to the atomic level.
Okay.
Like we have our regular physics, which deals with things at a macro level, like you and how you interact with the world around you. But when you go down to the quantum level, down to the atomic level, things start to act differently than expected. And you need different equations to account for that. That's why they're looking for a unifying theory that actually explains everything. Because right now, it doesn't make sense what they're observing at the quantum level. They've learned to calculate it, and they've been able to they can predict it really, really well, but it still doesn't make sense.
So what's it made of?
Atoms. What's a quantum computer made out of? Well, it's not so much what it's made out of. I don't know, because that's what they're trying to figure out. That's what they're trying to.
So atoms of whatever alloy makes wire. That'd be part of it.
No, it's not wires.
Well, you said if the wires that they would jump because the wire's too close together.
Yeah, that's a silicon technology. We're dealing with wires and transistors, but a quantum computer would deal with atoms and molecules rather than wires and transistors.
They would be atoms of what?
I don't know. That's part of what they got to figure out.
Oh, okay.
They haven't developed it
So
yet.
they actually don't know what it is.
They have created quantum computers, and the world record right now, I believe, for the calculation that a quantum computer has done is 3 times 5 equals 15. That's of all the work that they've done. That's the best they've been able to do with a quantum computer because it breaks down too quickly.
They actually do have quantum computers. And what are they made of?
I don't know the details of exactly what they're made out of. But what they do, the way a quantum computer works is by using something, well, this is one of the ways it can work, something called entanglement. Entanglement is this really funky thing. When you look at particles down to their elementary level, like let's look at an electron and what an electron actually is with our current ideas of what they actually are. So we're not going to talk about string theory or anything crazy like that. Just picture it as a little particle, like a little dot.
Okay.
They have a spin. They spin different ways. They have an up spin and a down spin. So they're spinning on the spot. And that actually determines some of their properties. But here's the funky thing. They spin both ways at the same time.
Like, what's that called? It's like
a gyro?
No, it's a cube inside a cube.
Yeah, except that it's one thing spinning both ways at the same time. It's like go like this and go like this at the same time.
How is that possible?
I don't know. This is quantum physics for you. It's crazy stuff. All right. So
Okay.
Prepare for some crazy talk.
All right.
So entanglement is when you take two particles and you get them to spin the same, and they become in sync. I can't remember the word. They become entangled. Yeah, they become entangled. And the theory is, and they've actually proven this to some degree, is that if you can get them in sync, synchronized, you can take them to any distance across the universe, and if you changed one of them, the other one would instantly change as well. So it's information traveling faster than the speed of light. It's instantaneous traveling. They call it quantum teleportation because you're instantly replicating something over here, over there. It's not actually teleporting, it's the information that's teleporting.
That's really cool.
Normally, information travels at the speed of light or close to it. For example, electricity going through your computer has to travel from place to place. And electrons travel near the speed of light. Now, that's not too big a deal how fast it is because everything's really small, and so they're just flying around really fast. What if you could send information instantly? How fast would your computer be?
It would be infinitely fast.
It would be ridiculously fast. And so the only thing that would slow it down is your technology to really tap into it. Just like the only thing that's making silicon technology faster is our technology to tap into it. So it's not that the first quantum computer would be infinitely fast, but it would be very much faster than a silicon computer. And so quantum entanglement is the factor that would allow everything to communicate within a quantum computer. On top of that, right now we deal with bits, which is basically a piece of information that is either a 0 or a 1. We're used to that. It's binary. It's become such a part of our society that we associate it with robotics and artificial intelligence, like ones and zeros. A quantum computer wouldn't work with ones and zeros. Its bit would be from 0 to billions. In other words, within the same, where I could store one bit of information, which would only be a 0 or a 1 on a computer, a quantum computer could store a million numbers within that same amount of space. Or a billion, or a trillion. Really, the only thing that stops you from getting bigger is how sensitive your instruments are.
You know what's funny? Like, the numbers are so big that it's hard to wrap my mind around what that even is.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the realm of sci-fi, and yet we're close. They've actually managed to create quantum computers. The major issue they're having with entanglement is that it's fragile. Like if you put it together, for one thing, it breaks down within a few seconds, which is why they've only been able to do a simple calculation before the computer basically falls apart. Because entanglement, well, anything, a rumbling of a truck a mile away is enough of a vibration to throw them out of whack.
Oh, wow.
You breathe on it the wrong way. Actually, if you breathe on it, it would be out of whack. Think about electrons. Think about how sensitive electrons are. You can rub a comb through your hair, and you've instantly moved millions and trillions of electrons just by rubbing a comb through your hair. It's very easy to manipulate atoms.
So they have to create some sort of dampener or something.
Something. Yeah, that's what they have to figure out. Right now, they've been able to create the quantum computer. They've actually been able to prove entanglement up to, I think, a couple meters apart. So they've actually been able to show that when they change the one, the other one instantly changes faster than the speed of light. Most forces, most things in the universe travel at the speed of light, even gravity. Like, for example, if I were to have two things and you were measuring the gravity between them and I were to pull the one of them, you would see a response with the other one, right? In some way.
Yep.
Well, if you were to measure when you saw that response, you would find out that it was basically the speed of light. It's like if there's a distance right here, if you calculated how fast it takes light to travel from the one to the other, that's how long it takes the other one to react. So even gravity travels at the speed of light. It's kind of weird if you think about it.
Yeah,
We're talking about crazy stuff right now, so you science nerds are probably loving this and finding everything, all sorts of things wrong with my interpretations of it. And everybody else is like, huh? But it's really cool stuff. And but the idea behind it is it's supposed to generate cool ideas. Because really, in the end, a lot of casual players aren't going to figure all this stuff. This is really for the fanatics.
Yeah, this is the fanatics of the fanatics.
Exactly. But it's still necessary for me to understand it, so it drives my ideas. Like, for example, the political tensions. The first country to come out with a quantum computer is going to crack the encryption of the military of every other country in the world within a minute.
Or would it even take that long?
So we're talking another Cold War kind of idea with the quantum computer. So that could kind of build up there. And all-out war. In fact, we'll get to the politics in a second.
If the wrong country does it, all-out war.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what a quantum computer is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Well, do you really understand what a silicon computer is?
Well, I have a better reference just because...
Because you're used to it from day-to-day life, but you still don't understand it. Neither do I. And that's okay. I don't have to fully understand it. I have to understand enough.
Yeah, I just know what it looks like. And I know that it makes my computer work, right?
Exactly. And you really don't even know what it looks like because you need a microscope to see.
Well, it's like it's a chip. It's
yeah,
a
the
type of
chip.
right?
Exactly. Whereas this would be something different. What it would be, I don't know. A crystal, a lump of metal, I don't know. It really doesn't matter because that technology hasn't been created yet. So it can be whatever we want. So that's the computer's end of this, and we'll be getting more into that stuff later.